What's up guys, Intelitech Studios here, and today you are looking at brand new carpet. Well, maybe not brand new, but brand new. It was installed about a week ago, so still pretty fairly new carpet. And it is carpet that is brand new, or at least was prior to being walked on. So, this is Intelitech Studios, in case you couldn't tell. Did I already mention that? Okay, whatever. I'm already getting off topic. So, a lot of people were wondering, hey, why don't you run some vacuums on your brand new carpet? See how well they run. And basically, well, I made a community post on YouTube asking for what types of vacuums I should run on the new carpet. So we're going to go ahead and scroll through all of these comments and see which exact machines we're going to go ahead and run on the new carpet. So first off, we have Craig LeBrake, who says, I'd say an old school vacuum, maybe one of the Hoover vacuum cleaners such as the Elite or the WindTunnel. I got you. Alright, one down. Let's see what we have next. Could you maybe do a video of it shampooing it with a Bissell or Hoover? Well, unfortunately, I don't have my Hoover steam vac over here, and my Bissell, well, I will actually at some point do a video on steam cleaning that because my roommates decided to leave their dogs running around down here when I explicitly told them not to, and as a result there are a couple messes I have to clean up on this brand new carpet, which as you can tell I'm very happy about. Thankfully they're getting evicted. Anyways, so I will do that at some point, but for now we're just going to stick with vacuums. So, the next comment, how about the 3522-1 Power Force bag? Well, we did just do that, so we don't need to worry about that. Any Eureka, Panasonic, or Kenmore vacuum from the 2000s? Ooh, that's a good suggestion. I think I've got the perfect candidate right here. And this supposed perfect candidate is perfect for a number of reasons. Not just because it's one that I've never run on this carpet, but it's one that I've never ran to begin with, because it's a recent acquisition. So that'll be fun. And here it is. This is a Kenmore wide path system. I don't know if you can even see that. We've got Kenmore wide path system. That'll be fun to try out on this new carpet. From what I can tell, it's probably going to need some work, but we'll at least see how it runs on this carpet as is. So we've got that ready to go. Dirt Devil MVP, Eureka Victory, Old School Dirt Devil, and I guess the Breeze. Well, I guess Old School Dirt Devil will be gladly taken care of by both the Breeze and the MVP, so it looks like we'll run the Breeze and the MVP as well. Well, someone here just asked for a Eureka Whirlwind, and they say whichever one. Well, unfortunately, neither of the Bagless Whirlwinds are at the new house at the moment, so hopefully the Victory that was previously asked for will suffice instead. Alright, next recommendations. Dirt Devil Breeze Old Style. Okay, already got that. Hoover WindTunnel Plus, or Bissell bagged or bagless, doesn't matter. Well, we got the WindTunnel Plus. Eureka Boss Power Plus, we'll get that later. That one's currently outside. Some old school vacuum. Okay, the 350 should cover that. Dirt Devil Silver Glide, that's not at the house at the moment. I guess I do have one here, but it's in very poor condition. I don't want to run it before I do a service on it. Oreck Vacuum Old version. Okay, should be covered by that over there. It's the only Oreck I have at the house at the moment, so that hopefully will suffice. I'll eventually run the XL2 Ultra. Europro Fantom Twister, okay. Silver Glide, Power Force Compact Turbo, don't have that. Kenmore Destiny Plus, well, I don't have that here. I already did the 3522-1. Hoover V2, I don't have that. Oh well. Well, we'll at least grab the two Fantoms. We don't have the Kenmore Destiny Plus, so I'll run the Fury instead. Hopefully that'll be good enough. And I already have a different Kenmore, so hopefully that'll suffice until I get those over here. So we'll grab those real quick. Alright, let's see. Dyson Cinetic Big Ball, Elite 350, already got that. Hopefully I didn't repeat any of these, because I stopped to actually grab the vacuums. Okay, I think I just did. Oh well. Big Green's upstairs. kind of buried underneath a lot of stuff. Don't want to grab that. I'll use the sanitaire instead. Hopefully that'll work. Shark Apex. Okay, so that's all the vacuums that people have suggested. And I think that's like, what, 15 vacuums in total that people asked for. And I'm running 12 of them. Hopefully that will suffice. But yeah, so to recap the vacuums that we're running, we've got over here, we've got the Elite 350. Actually, I'll just take this off the tripod now. So we're going to run the Elite 350, the Victory, MegaBoss, the new Kenmore, the WindTunnel Plus, the Dirt Devil Breeze, the XL Platinum, the Ultra MVP, the Sanitaire, the Twister, the Fury, the Apex, and the Cinetic. I think that should be a good enough roster of vacuums. And again, I'm in the middle of moving at the moment. I mean, the moving is done in a way. The only thing I got to get out of the old house now is all the vacuums that are in the shed. And then obviously got to organize it all over here. You can tell there's literally vacuums just everywhere. Absolutely everywhere. And of course, a bunch of people's stuff all over the place. And, yeah, so anyways, that's that. Well, now there's a million vacuums in the living room, and so I gotta move some of these out of the way to actually use them. So, which one do we use first? You know what? I've actually been using the Cinetic recently in preparation for the full review, so first we'll run the Cinetic. Patches. Patches, no. No! God. Look at that little twerp. What are you doing? Patches, get out of there. Excuse me, sir. Sir? Hello? Okay, whatever. Back to the vacuuming. So yeah, this one works perfectly fine. It's still not ideal to use, but it is one of those things where, I don't know, it works great on carpet in terms of, like, it does pick up a lot of good amount of stuff, but it's just one of those machines where it's very annoying to work with, and it does feel easier to use on this carpet than the last one, but the difference is pretty negligible. But this is the type of carpet that, one of these modern Dysons would work well on, because it works fairly well. But yeah, this machine I have been using recently a little bit more often, because at some point soon I'm going to do a full review on it and sell it to a friend. So its performance, as far as its ability to pick up stuff, like, I've been, perfectly happy with it. But it's just, I don't know, it's too cumbersome. The cyclone's just not effective enough to warrant not having a filter. The fact that the post motor filters are, held in with screws is very annoying, because I actually lost my screwdriver, so I actually have no way to access the post motor filters that this machine has. It has one on each side, if I remember correctly. It at least has one, I know that. It's not entirely without filters, because if it was, it'd be spewing dust back into the air. But it's okay. It's definitely not the kind of thing where, I'd be comfortable paying as much money as these go for. But, I mean, obviously this isn't a review on the machine, it's a review on how well it runs on this carpet, and it's fine. That's pretty much all there is to say about it. It's fine. So, on to the next one. Alright, so now we move this aside and grab a different machine. We'll grab the Apex. So we'll grab this next and run this one. Stupid cord. There we go. Jesus. Alright, now we go. And it's on the carpet. well, that's running the Apex after the Kinetic. And I will say that even though I'm generally not a fan of Shark, I actually do like the Apex better than the Kinetic. It's not saying much, I still would rather have SIBO, but this thing is, the difference as far as being able to use this Apex on this carpet versus my old carpet is night and day. It is a night and day difference. On the old carpet, at the old house, it was very hard to use. The way that the weight is distributed on this is still very bad, but obviously that's kind of just something that you give up in exchange for the ability to have the lift away portion. So this whole piece is going to be heavy, but it's at least manageable on this carpet. It is still kind of the thing where if I was vacuuming the entire house with this, I would get tired after a bit. And I will say that the difference between the standard carpet mode and the thick carpet mode doesn't seem to make that much of a difference on this carpet. So I don't really see much of a difference to warrant running it on the high carpet mode, which obviously bleeds off suction through this valve up here. Not a lot, but just a little bit. So, you know, there is that. But the DuoClean system obviously works very well. This machine does need a bit of a clean, so I have been using it kind of on and off in preparation for a review on this as well. I would like to get a zero... Oh, wow, okay. I'm actually kind of impressed. That got a good amount of dirt out of that carpet. So, I do know that some of this fine dust that was in here was already in here. I do know that much. But honestly, that's a good amount of stuff that it picked up that the Dyson didn't get. So that's pretty impressive in of its own right. Now, sure, Sharks are generally never all that impressive in terms of deep cleaning performance, but for what it is, it's hard to get on. For what it is, I'm decently impressed with this. I would like to try the 0M version, because I don't have a 0M version of this right now. So, because obviously I'd still have to clean off the brush roll on this. I would still like to get an NV800, one of the DuoClean lift-away speeds. So it's still a powered lift-away with DuoClean, but the speed version is lighter weight and it has an accessible brush roll. This brush roll you cannot take out, you can't do anything with it, you just have to cut the hair off of it. If you need to access the bearings to service it or anything like that, if this brush roll locks up, then you can't access this, and obviously most customers are just going to keep running it and they're going to burn out the motor in this thing, in the power head, something that is not covered under Shark's warranty, which I found that out the hard way because I still have not been able to get a power head for my NV750W. So yeah, so this thing works pretty good. It's much like the Dyson, it has a lot of plastic creaking issues when you're trying to use the machine. If you're pushing it forward and backwards, it's okay. But when you're trying to turn corners, use the swivel steering, you can really hear the entire machine creak and crack all over the place. And it's not a very pleasant thing to hear when you're vacuuming. It doesn't give you the most confidence as far as the durability of this machine. But, you know, it's just one of those things where it's just something you got to deal with. So, at least, you know, if you want one of these, obviously, you can get a different machine, obviously, but this actually does do a pretty decent job, and I think this does a decent enough job that I actually might consider pulling this out and using it on a more frequent occasion than I had previously. Although I do plan on still getting a 0M model and retiring this altogether, so that way I wouldn't have to worry about the brush roll, because at least then, yes, you still can't access the bearings, but at the very least you'll have the system that cleans off the brush roll, so that way even if you don't touch it, you won't have to really service the bearings, at least not until inevitably, you know, 5-10 years down the road, the bearings inevitably seize up like a lot of vacuums do, because I doubt these are very high quality bearings, and then the entire thing is just ruined. So hopefully, if I use it as infrequently as I do, then hopefully this power will last, like, I don't know, maybe a decade before finally going out as far as bearings. And, yeah. So, that's that. I believe you can still find these original Apexes. You can still find them in, like, outlet stores and stuff like that. You can still find them, like, old stock. These aren't produced anymore. Shark only produces the 0M models and the Vertex. They don't produce the 800 series either, which sucks because I really want one of those. I've heard there was an 800 series that has 0M, which I think would be the perfect Shark. But I also don't know if that allows you to remove and clean out the brush roll. Because I would rather have a standard brush roll like this that's serviceable than a 0M brush roller that is unserviceable. So, you know, that's just my 2 cents. I'd rather have it be 0M and serviceable, which has been done before. You can make brush rolls that don't tangle with hair, yet that still are easy to service. Fantom and Amway did it, you know, decades ago. And, you know, I don't know, just one of those things that's really annoying. But the mini review on this is, it works pretty good on this carpet for what it is. It'll be interesting to try one of the normal navigators on this carpet. I do have a black navigator swivel that I need to fix up. Obviously, I do have this brand new one, this brand new lift away that I never used, but I don't really want to use it, so I have a purple one that's upstairs buried in a closet that I'll fix up and try to run on this carpet. Just a standard lift away, something like this, which that should do pretty good on this carpet. I don't see why it wouldn't. But yeah, so that's the Apex. Runs okay. Performance is pretty good. And I did try this off camera with the power lift away mode, and as expected, this thing just pulls itself forward too much. It's entirely unusable as a canister machine, unless the only way you really want to put up with it is if you're literally just taking it off for a second to go underneath the bed or something. And in which case it's okay, but you know, still not ideal. It's still effectively an upright. But I do still like having the option for the power lift away for those scenarios. And on hard floors it works fine in the power lift away mode. But again, since this isn't a speed model, this whole piece right here is very heavy and not very pleasant to use. Even if you're trying to hold it in your other hand, because these bases don't add a whole ton of weight. So, yeah. Anyways, that's the Apex. We'll move on to the next machine. Alright. Now we've got the XL Platinum, and yeah, basically that's that, and we'll run it. So, this Oreck, well, first off, I still need to fix a little issue with the ingest bars. You can kind of hear the little buzzing noise that it's making. The, bzzz thing that it's doing. But, one of the things that I complained about this machine at the old house is that the power of the brush roll would make it to where this thing would yank itself forward on carpets and actually be a significant pain to pull backwards on carpets. Meaning that, well, yes, it's lightweight and all, it was actually kind of tiring to use. And yeah, these ingest bars are loose. I do need to do some work on these. I guess the only other issue being that, as you can see, this thing tangles hair like crazy. I have not done any service to this vacuum since I acquired it from my local vacuum store. And you can tell this brush roll, it works pretty well, but it does get stuff tangled around it. But these side brushes are okay. I think this one's worn off a bit, but all these other ones are okay. And these ones are perfect. So I don't know why this one's worn out, but these ones are perfect, but I don't know. And you can see this got some dust. I need to clean that off. Yeah, Cookeville, Tennessee. I don't know if is that supposed to look like that. I guess. Still got an extra belt here that no one ever touches on these. That's what I do when I service an Oreck. I never touch this belt. I always just order a new one because sometimes, but I also don't like to take these and throw them away because sometimes the customers want these here. So I'll often tell them, I'll say, hey, there is a belt on it, but a lot of times it's messed up and doesn't work right. Do you want me to order a new one, or do you want me to try this one first? And, usually they'll just say, yeah, just order a new one. So, yeah. All this looks good. This little squeegee could use replaced. It's still in good shape. It's just a bit discolored and kind of matted down. But I need to oil these wheels. But otherwise, looks good. So yeah, this is a night and day difference. This actually is nice to use on this carpet, as an Oreck should be. And obviously, this is so much quieter than an XL2 or any classic Oreck. Just better in every way. Just every objective way, this is a better machine. So, I mean, it's nice. I do need to get some HEPA bags for it. But obviously, this is just reviewing how well it works on my new carpet. And that gets a thumbs up. On the high mode, this thing grooms very nicely. Tell the pile is nice and soft. There's no real complaints. Not really sure how much I can judge this machine's ability to deep clean. Obviously, Orecks aren't really designed to have deep cleaning as a priority. They're just designed to be good enough for someone who needs a really lightweight vacuum and doesn't need tools. And for that purpose, it does fine. Because, I mean, I could use this as daily if I pair it with, like, the Sanyo or something. Or if even if I get, like, a Zing or something like that. So, I mean, the ability for it to work on this carpet is night and day. And this is another machine that, thanks to this new carpet, I'll be able to actually pull out and enjoy more often. So, very happy about that. This thing runs beautifully on this carpet. And, yeah, so definitely cool to try this one. And this one is one that I'll also probably keep in the rotation as well of machines. So, with that in mind, on to the next one. So, one thing I actually didn't do is, yes, I have a generic bag in here. I know. I was in a rush to get some bags, and it was just the first thing I saw, so I grabbed them. I do have some genuine Oreck paper bags, and I will also likely be replacing this with a genuine Oreck HEPA bag. But I will say, like, this thing has dirt in it up to, like, here. So it has, like, that amount of dirt in it. So this thing does pick up perfectly fine. And there's really not much wrong I can say about it. It does what it's supposed to do. I will admit trying to fit this paper bag in here is a bit nerve-wracking because, of course, one wrong slip and you tear the bag open and get dirt all over the place. But, you know, not bad. The dock is perfectly in place, no real issues with that. And yeah, so that's the XL Platinum. Alright, so here's something a bit more interesting. Here is a brand new machine, brand new to me anyways. One that I just picked up yesterday for $10. I also picked up that dustbuster over there that's in the box. And yeah, it's the Kenmore PowerPath system. I got both this and the aforementioned dustbuster for $10. And yeah, it's my most recent acquisition. I saw it where someone had it listed in a garage sale, but then it didn't sell, so they did like a after sale, so to speak. And yeah, so initially they had it listed for free, but like they had it in a listing with a bunch of other stuff that said free. And but whenever I asked for it, they said that'll be $10, and I'm like, that is fine by me. So the only issues with it, the cord's chewed up a little bit. This tool holder is cracked in a couple spots. You can see where the crevice tool is supposed to sit, like right here, and be held in by this little clamp. It's kind of fell off, so the crevice tool kind of sinks to the bottom here. And then the only other issue is this almost looks like it was replaced. This doesn't really look right. And then for whatever reason, this is like warped. So this isn't broken right here, but it just doesn't stick out far enough. So this just kind of slides right next to it and doesn't really hold on this very well because it wants to like sit at an angle. But it has all the attachments. It has the combination dusting brush and upholstery nozzle. It has both the extension wands, and it has the crevice tool. This is obviously made by Panasonic. You can see right there, Kenmore model 116, 12 amps, class UG4A, a bag, 20 type bag, 20 type bulb, 20 type belt, at least if I'm reading that correctly. But yeah, manufactured for Sears, Roebuck and Company, USA. And not much else that says. So we've got our bag door right here, where it's got a little button back here that you press, and this bag door pops off. We've got a Kenmore style U bag in here, as you can see. So it's got the pre-motor filter, pretty badly caked with stuff. Suction relief valve right there. Intake, obviously a good amount of dust in here. It's being blown out. So the issue isn't that this bag doesn't have a gasket. The problem is that this isn't the correct bag. Although you can't really fault the customer too much because, you know, when they think, oh, Kenmore, I have a Kenmore, so I'll grab a Kenmore bag, and they just go to the local store and find the first one that they find, and this ends up being it, and they think, well, it's good enough, it seems like it fits, and then they pop it on, and it goes on way too loosely because it just pulls off very easily. There's really no good seal on it. But regardless, that is the bag that it comes with, so that's the bag we're going to run in it. And I'll eventually, once I get this all serviced up, we'll see what other types of bags fit it. Presumably a Panasonic bag will fit it. I've also seen some people say that Cirrus and Riccar type bags fit it, all of which I have. My own speculation says that a Hoover Y or a Style 7 might fit in here, but that could be a stretch. I'll find that out afterwards because I have plenty of Style 7 HEPA and a couple Style Y HEPA. Actually, I don't think I have any Style Y HEPA other than the one that's in the Hoover. But regardless, I'll see what fits this. And, you know, you don't have to comment on what type of bags will fit this unless you really want to, because by the time you see this video, I'll have already tried it. But yeah, so I will eventually service this machine, strip it down to the motor. I was planning on doing that today, but my basement flooded, and the basement is where my workbench currently is, so I don't have any way of doing that right now because I still have to dry out the basement and make sure that the city drain doesn't drain into my basement again. So I just went headlights. I believe it needs a new bulb. I could be wrong about that. We'll find out when we run it. Brush roll right here. Bit of play in the brush roll. That needs to be addressed. Belt seems kind of chewed up. It seems a bit loose. So this is going to have a pretty gnarly amount of rattle to it. So it's going to sound pretty rough. So I'm not going to run it for too long because I don't want the housing to get damaged as a result of that brush roll. But regardless, we'll go ahead and give this a run. This thing vibrates so much that it knocked a couple cups off this table. But yeah, so that motor wind down is also pretty long, so I'll have to pull this thing down to the motor and see if there's any dirt in it, if there's any dirt stuck in the fan, how good the bearings are, that sort of thing. But in the meantime, it is working, and it's in not too bad of condition. That's what I'd expect for a, probably 15, 20 odd year old machine. But yeah, so it's a new acquisition running on this carpet, and someone suggested a Kenmore. I figured it'd be the perfect thing to try. And on the medium setting, this thing just effortlessly glides across this carpet, and I am very happy about that. It's just super easy to push, super easy to pull. I can still tell it's digging into the carpet, grooming it well, leaving nice lines, working good. I just need to fix that the brush roll, the way it's put in the housing, slap a new belt on it, clean up the motor, and it should be good to go. Oh, and slap a new headlight bulb in it as well. So yeah, that's the Kenmore PowerPath system. Did I say that right? Yes, I did. Kenmore PowerPath system. And on to the next one. Alright, since we just mentioned the Style Y Hoover bags and the various similarities between it and the Kenmore / Panasonic and blah 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 blah, let's move on to the WindTunnel Plus. So, this WindTunnel Plus, as many of you know, was acquired by the lovely Nate J here on YouTube. And, yeah. That's pretty much that. So, works great, no issues, blah 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 blah. You've probably seen this a million times if you've been keeping track with the most recent videos on my channel. So, this one, nothing too exciting about it, just your basic old school wind tunnel. We'll give it a run. So that's the WindTunnel Plus. Runs beautifully, grooms the carpet super well. Obviously, it's got a brand new brush roll in it, so obviously it's gonna be one of the best out of all these machines because it has a brand new CWP brush roller in it, a brand new generic, now genuine brush roll. It's very funny because obviously it's made by a third-party company, but that company is owned by the company that now owns Hoover, but that company didn't own Hoover at the time this was made, so at the time, I don't know, it's weird. But, yeah. And I also, just for kicks and giggles, I took the hose off of the black WindTunnel Supreme and slapped it on here, and it's much nicer. Much nicer hose, although you can tell it's designed for the wind tunnels where the hose attaches up here and not down here, so it's a bit tight, but it fits. The only thing is that now that means that the old hose looks a little bit funky on the black wind tunnel, but you know, it does the trick. So yeah, that's the WindTunnel Plus and all of its creaky glory in traditional, well, honestly, most vacuums that I have pretty much make those creaky noises at this point. Even the SIBO does it, so yeah. But this one doesn't do it too much, so it feels pretty sturdy. That maroon color also looks really nice with the light, with the natural light, you know, reflecting off of it. Very nice. So yeah, that's the WindTunnel. Runs beautifully, just as beautifully as it did on the old carpet. Not much to say about it, just on the same medium setting that it was in general. This one does kind of feel like it's kind of sucking itself to the carpet a little bit, so maybe putting it on one higher setting would fix that, or, you know. It's not hard to push, you do feel a bit of resistance, but it's not the kind of resistance where you can't push it or pull it, just the kind of resistance where you can tell there's resistance, if that makes sense. But yeah, so WindTunnel Plus, A-OK, let's move on. And now, on to the next vacuum, one that technically wasn't requested. It was the Kenmore Destiny Plus that was requested, but I don't have that here, so I can't do that right now. Maybe at a later date. But for now, wait a minute, why am I doing that? It has a clip right here. But for now, we'll do the Fury, which, as you can see, is full of dirt, because I used it to clean out my paper shredder, because I'm a bit of an idiot, but whatever. So, let's run this. So, this is one of the few machines actually where it's actually a little bit more difficult to push than on my old carpet, which is funny. So it seems like the way this carpet's designed, with how, with how very soft and thick the fibers are, but also with how relatively non-dense they are, it's interesting to see which specific machines glide more easily on this carpet and which ones have a bit more resistance when compared to the old carpet. This is one of those machines where, again, on the same medium setting, this is a little bit harder to push on this particular carpet. So, real quick, I'm going to try it on the high setting and see if that makes any sort of a difference. Ooh, that didn't sound good. Okay, well, there we go. So we'll see how well the high setting does. Sounded like it clicked twice. I might have just broken it. Huh? Well, it seems okay. Ugh. But yeah, so it is easier to push on the highest setting. So it is harder to push than it is on the old carpet, but it's manageable. And I could, even though I've run a bunch of other vacuums on this carpet before this one, I could still hear this picking up stuff. So, I mean, again, say what you will about Fantoms, but this one is still picking up stuff. And, yeah, that's definitely something you can't really fault it for. Bin is almost full. I do need to empty that. But, yeah. So, Fantom Fury is furious enough to clean the carpet much, well, as expected. In fact, I've been keeping this one in the bedroom and pretty much using this exclusively to vacuum the bedroom. At least that's what I've been doing recently. Since there was like a perfect spot in the bedroom to put one vacuum in that spot, and this vacuum fit perfectly in that little spot, so I thought, oh, whatever. And I do need to grab from my other house. I need to grab, because you can see this has 2 dusting brushes on it. And then one of my Fantoms needs a dusting brush, and then the other one, and then this one obviously needs the crevice tool and floor nozzle. So obviously I'll eventually take this dusting brush, put it on that other Fantom. I forgot which one. I believe it was the Destiny Plus. Because I know my 10 amp Fury has all the attachments, but I believe I took the dusting brush and put it on my orange one, I believe. So then the 10 amp doesn't just has the crevice tool and floor tool, which I'll probably grab those, stick them on here, and then stick this on one of the Fantoms that needs it. So, because there was a listing that had 2 dusting brushes, and I grabbed both of them. So, yeah, and I have an extra adapter as well. So that way this particular Fury will have all the attachments on board, at least all the major ones. But I do still need to get a hose that isn't cracked. Although I believe my 10 amp one has one of those. So I could grab it from that one if I really wanted to. But I don't know if I'm going to bother. That 10 amp one really needs some work done to it. But, yeah. So, that's the Fantom Fury. The Furious vacuum cleaner. And we'll put this down real quick. Oh, the filter door's sliding off. And check this out. That belt is still holding on just fine. Might be a little stretched, perhaps. It is a Dirt Devil belt, after all. But yeah. You can see there's one little piece of hair, and that's it. And that's caught in the bristles. So there's pretty much no hair wrap on this brush roll. Despite the numerous times I've used this machine. See, there's very little. So, one other thing I like about Fantoms, you generally don't have to worry too much about hair wrap on these brush rolls. So, that's very nice. This machine is, of course, no exception. Although I will admit, I don't know why they put like a hard plastic on this. This should have some kind of like a rubber coating, in my opinion, especially if you're going to roll this on floors. These wheels are all hard plastic. Something the ClearTrack actually addresses. But yeah, that's the Fury. Alright, next machine, Dirt Devil Ultra MVP. Oh. What? I think I just broke the belt on this. Maybe? Well, it definitely needs a new belt now. Yeah. Well, it was working fine up until then. I heard a snap of some kind, and obviously that belt is no more, as the brush roll is spinning freely. So that's not good. So needless to say, this will not be run anymore until I do some work on this. Very unfortunate, but thankfully that belt was needing replaced anyways, so it's not too big of a loss. I believe you can still get belts for these, right? I hope so. I know there is one on the back, but I don't really want to use it because it seems like it's not going to be in good shape. But yeah, so I do need to track down some stuff for this. There is an eBay listing with the triangle attachment, but it's blue and not red, but oh well. I might go ahead and get that anyways, and then obviously the other attachments are presumably the same attachments that the Breeze uses. I mean, get this Hoover one off here. Well, maybe. Maybe not. Okay. guess I stand corrected about that. It did come with this Hoover one, which does snap on fine, so we'll leave that there. But yeah, it does work on this carpet, at least whenever the belt isn't broken. So that's unfortunate, but nevertheless, it does work. And it does work pretty nicely on this carpet, again, whenever the belt isn't being broken, like it is now. And obviously needs a headlight. Yeah, this brush is spinning way too freely now. That belt is obviously toast. Does this require tools? Okay, it does. Because I don't have a screwdriver right now. Brush roll still looks perfect. No play in it. Seems like it's not spinning as freely as it used to. I don't know if the bearings seized up for half a second and that broke the belt or what. Oh, help if I actually put the camera on the brush roll. But yeah, so regardless, that's not great. So Ultra MVP down for the count. But when it was working, it was very nice to push on this carpet, and I didn't really have many complaints. Easy to push, easy to pull on the medium setting as usual. I pretty much just default all my vacuums on the medium setting. And it did okay. So, yep, I guess since we mentioned the Breeze, we'll move on to that, and hopefully that one won't snap a belt. Although it is a Breeze, so I wouldn't be surprised if it did. So, we'll go ahead and move on to that. Alright, next up is the Dirt Devil Breeze. And my camera, for some reason, doesn't seem like it's focusing correctly. Could just be the lighting in here being a bit funky. But yeah, so, Dirt Devil Breeze. Yeah, I can assure you it's red. For some reason on my screen, it looks a bit orange. It's not supposed to do that. But hopefully in the actual video it looks red like it should. But yeah, so, Dirt Devil Breeze. And I must have bumped the power button at some point, because when I plugged this in, it immediately turned it on. Or it immediately turned itself on. So, we're going to try this. See how well this belt fares on this carpet. No height adjustment at all on this model. So, basically on the lowest setting. So we're going to see how well this thing fares. Warning, it's loud. Headphone warning. 3, 2, and yeah. Yeah, there's some people walking by, and for some reason they're looking at me. I don't know why. Okay, they're gone. Anyways, let's vacuum. thing takes a while to wind down. It also takes a while to push. If you want a lightweight, if you have this type of carpet and you want a lightweight vacuum that'll still give you a good workout from trying to push and pull it, the Dirt Devil Breeze is a great option. Because this thing is, it does, I will say, it does sound like the brush roll doesn't bog down quite as much as on the old carpet. But wow, it is so much harder to push. This is, so the Fantom is the slightest bit harder to push. And yeah, this thing is no contest. Like, my arm is actually sore just from vacuuming the living room. So even the Shark Apex and the Dyson Cinetic vacuums that are usually considered pretty bulky, no match for this thing. This is a pain to push on the carpet. But I mean, you know, it has good results. Let's see how it did after all those other machines. Obviously, there's a couple little bits of debris that was sitting on the carpet, so you can't really give it credit for that. It's just basic debris pickup. But look at that. Like, it's still got, like, you can see some dirt, some, like, sand and pebbles of some kind that it pulled up out of the carpet. That's certainly no real, that's certainly none of these other vacuums are able to get. Not the Dyson, not the Shark, not the Fantom, not the Hoover. Now granted, there's of course that classic trope that you gotta keep in mind, the last vacuum that goes wins. And that is very true. But, crap. But, wow, look at that. So when we put all that on one side, you can really see all that dirt, sand, like very fine, gritty material. The kind of stuff that you really do want to get out of the carpet. And this gets it. So, I mean, credit where credit is due. This is one of the best performing machines out of my collection, at least based on everything that I've seen thus far. And it makes sense. It has a ton of airflow. Its brush roll design is very ingenious. Very dense bristles, very good at just sweeping all the stuff out of the carpet. I really would like to get the model of this that has the height adjustment. And I believe they did make a bagged version of this with the height adjustment. I would love to get my hands on that model. To still have all the advantages of this, but then have a proper height adjustment to make it easier. And also have a bag, you know, so that way I don't have to worry about this filter. Although I will admit, if there is a bagless system I want to deal with, this is one of the ones that I'm okay with. Because yes, it's not a sealed system, it is still spitting dust out of the exhaust. As far as when you actually empty it, it's a relatively painless procedure. There's only one filter to worry about, and it does a very good job at maintaining suction throughout the entire time that you fill up the bin. I know I saw someone, he was Jordan from VacMaster the Great, actually made a post on one of the local Facebook groups, like Facebook vacuum collectors groups. He uses one of these, and he uses one of the versions that I'm talking about, where it is bagless, but it has the height adjustment. I believe it's called the Scorpion or Jaguar or something like that. And otherwise it's like the same, but it's all black. And that one, he's literally like filled it up to like right about here, long past where a fill line would normally be. And only when it got right up to about here, so again, like all this full, is when it started to lose suction. So like these things are very, very impressive in terms of their performance. Although I will say, despite all that praise, this is not very usable for me on this particular carpet. So unfortunately, this is a vacuum that, compared to the old place, I'm going to have to kick out of the rotation, at least for now. Maybe whenever we replace the carpet upstairs, maybe we'll get a different type of carpet, but if it ends up being this carpet upstairs as well, when we redo the upstairs carpet and the onstairs carpet, then it ends up being the same as this, or one that has the same problem as this carpet does, then unfortunately it looks like the Breeze is going to have to go out of the rotation despite the very impressive results. Unless I'm just in the mood to get a really good workout, in which case it's a great option. So, yeah, that's the Dirt Devil Breeze, and we'll move on to the next machine. Okay. I have another Fantom. This time one that's a little bit more twisty. And, of course, this cord's all mangled up. Tangled and mangled. And this poor thing is missing the actual filter inside the desk cup. But this one at least has the HEPA filter, so I will run this one, unlike the white one. So, yeah. We'll run this. Well, the brush roll on this sounds worse than it did previously, but other than that, it sounds, well, about the same as I'd expect. Honestly, now that I think about it, it sounds kind of like a Dyson, and it honestly moves kind of like a Dyson too. It's like a legacy Dyson. It glides across the carpet very nicely, and yet it still grooms and picks up stuff pretty okay. Yeah. Brush roll's okay. Obviously the brush, I turned off the brush. Bearings sound a little rough, but still spin just fine. Well, that's the twister. Bit of a chonker, but I mean, it does work. It turns on, it cleans, it grooms, it has suction. It's got this stupid dust cup thing where you have to push this button, you have to push this button, and you have to push this button at the same time, and trying to get this with one hand is always a chore and a challenge and a half. Yeah, so not even gonna bother with that. Of course, you got the twister thing. But yeah, so works. I know some people have asked if I could sell this. I'm not quite sure if I want to, in all honesty, but I don't know. I don't want to. There's a part of me that says, I'm never gonna use this. Why even bother keeping it? I don't know. Because I just don't see Fantom twisters anymore, like, at all. I don't see videos on them. I don't see real photos of them outside of the archived HSN demos. I don't actually see these things in the wild anymore. I never did to begin with. So, I mean, it's just one of those things where it's like, I don't know. See, it's got this thing where you're supposed to take this and attach it to this clip down here so it holds it in place, but that just doesn't work right. Or you can have it where it holds it like that. That doesn't work right either. So what I usually end up doing is I just shove this up into here and then push this into this groove. So that keeps this hose out of the way. Still has the original extension wand, but it's missing the combo tool and the crevice tool. The other twister I have has that. What is that? Oh, look at that little guy. That's adorable. Well, I'll put him back in his little spot so we can hide away. Here you go, little buddy. Good boy. Alright, so that's the Fantom twister. Let's move on to those damn dogs. Let's move on to another machine. Okay, well, my phone is running out of battery life, so we're gonna have to skip the Sanitaire. And I'm not sure about the Elite 350, but I might have to skip that as well, because my phone's about to die. So we'll quickly do the Eureka Victory MegaBoss and see how well that does. Ooh, that wind down. As expected, it works very well. The back saver handle works very nicely, and it pushes and pulls pretty easily. It does have a little bit more resistance than on the old carpet, but nothing that you'd really notice. Anyways, finally, we'll end with the Elite. And that works great too. On the medium setting, it works just fine. Relatively easy to push. Not as easy as the Oreck, but pretty close. Unlike the old house where the Oreck was harder to push than this. This is slightly harder to push than the Oreck, but it's still perfectly fine. And honestly, I think I would still prefer this to an Oreck. Perhaps an updated version with some better seals in place and a HEPA bag. Anyways, this is Untitled Studio signing out. Sorry for the abrupt ending, but my phone's running out of battery life and I don't want to lose this footage since this is like an hour and a half long of using vacuums on the brand new carpet. Anyways, this is Untitled Studio signing out, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Have a good one. Peace.